Mega Man is a franchise that needs no introduction. With over 40 games under its belt, as well as being in several crossover games, countless cameos and references, not to mention various anime and cartoon adaptations and comics, Mega Man used to be Capcom's poster child.
You know, before KG and Afane left Capcom, and Capcom became pretty much solely focused on Street Fighter and Monster Hunter, which are alright, but they completely forgot one of their flagship characters. Outright canceled a game of his that happened to be one of my
Wait. We'll get to our grievances with Capcom later. Hello everybody, this is ShadowRockZX.
And Ryochi42.
And today, on Mega Man's 30th birthday, we'll be taking you on a tour of the Mega Man franchise throughout the years. December 17th, 1987. The Famicom game known as Rockman hit store shelves in Japan. For the United States, the game would be localized as Mega Man. Classic Mega Man followed many of the staple platforming styles of games at the time. Run, jump, collect points, health ups, 1-ups, and of course, shoot things. Interestingly enough, Mega Man 1 was the only game to actually keep track of points on the NES Classic series.
The main plot of the game was that the evil Dr. Wily took control of several construction robots, and the household robot known as Rock decides to stop them, having his creator, Dr. Light, upgrade him to the super fighting robot known as Mega Man.
Super fighting robot! Mega Man!
Think Astro Boy, but not running around in his boxers.
Yeah. The game provided you with 6 main stages, and then a multi-level final stage in which Mega Man battles Dr. Wily.
But that wouldn't be the last we'd see of them. 1 year later, in December 1988, Rockman 2 was released.
But we in the USA had to wait till summer of '89 for Mega Man 2.
Mega Man 2 is often regarded as the definitive Mega Man title. The Robot Masters were excellently designed, and this time there was 8 instead of 6, and special weapons were amazing.
And that soundtrack, though. The saga would continue on the NES until 1994 when Mega Man 6 was released in North America. The games remained mostly the same with some progressive improvements as time went on, with each game adding new features, like Mega Man Slide in Mega Man 3 and the Charge Shot in Mega Man 4.
But then, with the advent of the Super Nintendo, a new generation of Mega Man had arrived. In 1993, Capcom released the masterpiece known as...
Lady, you're getting ahead of yourself, man.
But X!
Classic first.
But the next classic game was released in 95.
That's right, Mega Man 7.
Hold up, can we at least talk about the Game Boy games first?
Sure.
In 1991, Capcom began releasing Game Boy ports of the NES series, as many game companies like to do at the time.
But, unlike games such as Donkey Kong Land and Super Return of the Jedi on the game... What the hell is this even?
The Game Boy Mega Man games are freaking awesome, and they're still really fun to play. It maintains all the charm of classic Mega Man on the NES, just minus the color, but the gameplay speed, fast-paced action, special weapons, and diverse casts are all still present, including a new faces exclusive to the Game Boy line.
Of course, as with any adaptation, some changes had to be made. A few bosses were misplaced in between games, and some are missing entirely, and the music and graphics had to be downscaled for the Game Boy's hardware.
But, even with those limitations, they're still well worth the time to play. Back in the day, if you needed your Mega Man action on the go, this is the closest thing to the NES you could get.
The Game Boy's games only went through Mega Man 5, and the last one was released in 1994.
And then in 95, we got Mega Man on Game Gear?
Yeah, it was basically just a portable amalgamation of Mega Man 4 and 5 with slightly better graphics, emphasis on slightly.
And this one was a North American exclusive.
Speaking of North American exclusives, in 1990 we got Mega Man on DOS.
Okay, this is getting ridiculous. We'll cover more of the unofficial games later.
Now, as I was saying earlier, Mega Man 7 was on the SNES.
One of the only 3 Mega Man classic titles to appear on the SNES. Well, if you count Mega Man Soccer, that makes 3. Mega Man 7 wasn't that bad, but after playing X, which came out 2 years prior, the muscle memory just wasn't nearly the same. It definitely played like Mega Man Classic, but for those of us who were used to X on the SNES, it threw a wrench into the system.
Then, after the PlayStation was released in 1996, Rockman 8 came out in Japan. This game took advantage of the PlayStation's higher capabilities with new and improved graphics, better quality music, and even full-fledged anime cutscenes.
But the English dub of these is atrocious.
Hey, Zach! Why must I fight you? We are not enemies!
It's pronounced bass, not bass. It goes along with the musical name scheme, like Rockman, Roll, Blues, which is Proto Man's Japanese name, and Bass's dog is named Treble.
Weird localizations aside, the game is pretty fun and still retained the level of difficulty you'd expect from a classic Mega Man title. However, the lack of the Super Adapter and Rush armor for Mega Man, which have been present in the previous 2 titles, was a little disappointing.
Fast forward over a decade later and we get...
Hold up. There's one game we haven't talked about yet. The better Mega Man classic game on the Super Nintendo.
Ah, yes, Mega Man and Bass.
Bass. This game features Mega Man's rival, Bass, as a playable character, and was a Japanese exclusive on the Super Famicom. But a few years later, it would be released in North America on the Game Boy Advance.
The graphics mirror a sprite style from Mega Man 8, which was pretty impressive at the time. It also had an upgrade system that allowed you to enhance your playable robot with new abilities to help you in the field, such as protection from the insta-death spikes or your shots going through walls.
But this did require some farming, which could be pretty tedious at times. If you're a real gamer, try a run of this one without pausing to farm for items.
In Mega Man and Bass, Dr. Wily introduces a new robot known as King, who is extremely powerful.
Bass's motivation for fighting is that he doesn't like the idea that Wily's trying to build a robot stronger than him, so he decides to shut King down.
With a little help from Proto Man.
This game is a challenge to beat, and still fun and addictive.
Alright, let's jump ahead to the Xbox 360. In 2009, Mega Man 9 was finally released.
Over a decade later, Capcom decides to finish what they started, more or less. Mega Man 9 and 10 went back to the classic 8-bit style, but they were digital download only, until the release of the Mega Man Legacy Collection 2. Mega Man 10 brought back the multiple playable characters, but at the time they seemed to be running low on ideas for Robot Masters.
Yeah, we got Sheet Man, Chill Man, Blade Man. Hey, wait a second.
Okay, to be fair, I designed BladeMan.exe years before Mega Man 10 was even thought of, but that's not important.
What is important is that this gave us a decent conclusion to the series. From here, we can connect the dots and assume what happens between Mega Man 10 and Mega Man X.
The Robo-Wenza virus became the Maverick virus, and sometime between now and then...
That's gonna have to wait until we cover the X series.
Aww!
Tune in next time for part 2 when we go over the sequel series, Mega Man X.